بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بسيدنا ومولانا أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام، وجعلنا الله وإياكم من الطالبين بثأره بين يدي الإمام المنصور المؤيد المهدي من آل محمد. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. The first of our salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The second in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. The third with your loudest voices in honor of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wa zaman. Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The discussion concerning the role of woman in the army of the Mahdi is without a doubt one of the most fascinating discussions within the religion of Islam. A discussion which sadly is very much overlooked, and indeed on many occasions hardly ever discussed. But without a doubt, a discussion of the utmost importance when one examines the traditions of the Ahl al-Bayt concerning the Mahdi. As we know, within the religion of Islam, although men and women may occupy at different times different social roles, there is no doubt that they can reach the highest spiritual levels. The Quran wanted to make clear that there should be no differentiation when it comes to the spirituality which the men and women of history can reach. You find therefore within the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sets the ethos. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. O mankind, we've created you from male and female, from different races and different tribes, in order that you get to know one another. The best amongst you in the eyes of God is the one who's conscious of God's presence in their life. Notice the three poisons that always hold back society are what? Either sexism, or racism, or tribalism. Here in this one ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted all of these removed. That don't let men take over a society with their chauvinistic, patriarchal attitudes. Sometimes, when you read Islamic literature, you find that much of it is written from the context of the male. Therefore, you find on many occasions, even within the world of law or the world of ethics, the focus is centered on a male-centric world. Whereas the reality is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to appreciate that for every male there is who seeks to be the most God-conscious, likewise, there are females in this world who can be the highest in the world of taqwa. For every male there is who seeks to serve the religion of Islam theologically, there are women serving the religion of Islam theologically. For every male who seeks to serve the religion of Islam legally, there are women serving the religion of Islam legally. For every male who seeks to serve the religion of Islam ethically, there are women who serve the religion of Islam ethically. And for every male who seeks to serve the religion of Islam socially, there are women who seek to serve the religion of Islam socially as well. This religion would never have grown were it not for the sacrifices of men and women together. As in many times when we hear about the early days of the religion of Islam, many times it's centered around the men. And hardly ever do you hear the discussions about the woman who sacrificed their lives in those early days. And likewise today, in many of our discussions, we neglect the amount of sacrifice that women gave towards this religion. You find that there are so many who have dedicated their lives to the service of the religion of Islam in literature, in theology, in law, but hardly ever given any praise. As in you find, for example, Jonathan Berkey and Asma Saeed, within their works, tried to look at the amount of women who transmitted hadith. If you were to ask many people, name me women who transmitted hadith in Islamic history, you'll find people are hard pressed to even discuss them. Berkey and Asma Saeed, within their works, tried to revamp the notion of women and their sacrifices to the religion of Islam. Not only that, in the 20th century and the 21st century, we have mujtahidas, jurists, theologians in Qum and in Najaf, who no one ever mentions in terms of the amount of work they've given the religion of Islam. If you mention to people the likes of Nusrat Amin, Zahra Sufati, for example, Hashimiyat Tujjar, Fatima Amini, Ma'sooma Muhaqqaq Damad, Ma'sooma Gulgiri, Munir Gurji, Fariba Al-Sawand. If you mention these names to many people, they'll say to you, who are they? I've never heard of them in my life. These are all women in Iran who in the 20th century reached the level either of ijtihad or the level of serving the religion of Islam. As in Nusrat Amin herself wrote tafsir of the Holy Quran. Zahra Sufati herself, Zahra Sufati, wrote tafsir of the Quran. The likes of, for example, Ma'sooma Muhaqqaq Damad or Munir Gurji have written about the lives of the Ahlul Bayt, but hardly anyone mentions their name. These are women who have sacrificed everything they have for the religion of Islam. And even today, within our communities, there are women on the front line serving the Imam. Someone says that when I want to be a soldier of the Imam as a woman, what does that mean? The stereotypical image is what? That you're going to have to cook and clean and serve water only, yes? As in many times, that's the way we try to look at women as soldiers of the Imam, nothing else. The reality is, this is a very chauvinistic viewpoint. Yes, no doubt, it will be an honor to serve water for the 12th Imam, correct or no? It will be an honor to serve food for the 12th Imam. No one denies that. But today in our society, we have soldiers on the front line who are women, who are working their hardest to serve the 12th Imam. As in, you know how we normally mention the 313? Imam al-Baqir says there will be 313 men and 50 women. Does that mean the total army will be 363? No. It means that there may be 313 male generals and 50 female generals. Which means that the forefront of the army of the Imam, there will be women who will be generals because of their knowledge, because of their guidance, because of their expertise. As an Imam continues to say what? He says, with the advent of the Imam, women will be judging according to the Quran and the Sunnah from their own households. The level of the knowledge of the woman alongside the 12th Imam is something quite unique. And even today, I tell you, within the Shia world, there are women who have sacrificed their time to serve the Imam in different areas, but are hardly ever acknowledged. As in, I'll give you a few examples of people who hardly people acknowledge, but they are on the front line serving the Imam. If you look, for example, at the likes of al-Banin Merali in London, the amount of work she's dedicated towards the Holy Quran. That's a woman serving for many years so the Quran becomes part of people's life. If you look, for example, Altaf Ali Ahmed, a journalist, Lebanese young journalist, on the front lines in Iraq, serving the Ahlul Bayt by looking at the oppression that the followers of Ahlul Bayt face. If you look at, for example, Nazmina Virji, translating books of hadith and translating important texts from English, from Arabic to English. These people are on the front lines. They are women in our communities, may not receive the limelight that the men do, but they are working their hardest to help the reappearance of the Imam and to help people understand the reappearance. So what do you find? You find on the first level that Imam al-Baqir says, 313 men and 50 women. Then in another tradition, Nabi Isa will come with 800 men and 400 women. Then they say at the end with the 12th Imam, there'll be an army of 12,000 men and 7,800 women. When we see this, we therefore see that women play a fundamental role when it comes to the army of the Imam. Yes? A fundamental role. And from the very outset of the religion of Islam, this religion began with women who gave everything from themselves towards the religion, and at the end it will be the same. Let us tonight examine what is the role of woman in the army of the 12th Imam. In order that we're able to understand this key area that may affect us, for example, or may affect our daughters, or our wives, our mothers, and will be used as an example for them in their lives. I'd like to examine this in the following stages. Number one, how did Islam empower women in what was otherwise a male chauvinistic society? Number two, what was the role of woman in helping the spread of the religion of Islam? And which woman in particular ensured the growth of the religion? Number three, which women are narrated to be the examples of the soldiers of the 12th Imam? And how does Siyana and Sumayya and Ayman and Zubaydah and Khalid and Ghanwa, the daughter of Rushad al-Hajari, provide examples from the Imams of Ahlul Bayt of the type of woman with the 12th Imam? Let me examine this in order that we understand the role of woman alongside the Imam. From the very origin of the religion of Islam, the religion of Islam sought to do one thing. It sought to allow a woman to have a voice within Arabian circles. As in sometimes in our communities, you find in our communities it's very hard for us to allow women to vote when it comes to elections. You find in our community it's very hard to allow women to sit in the same arena as men when it comes to decisions for the future of the community. Whereas when Islam came, Islam recognized Arabia was a male chauvinistic society. In Arabia, the man felt the woman had no say whatsoever. As in, unless you were Hind, wife of Abu Sufyan, or you were Jamil, wife of Abu Lahab, you weren't going to get much of a say within Arabian society, yes? It was impossible for you to have a voice. Because many of these women, what were they treated as? They treated as slaves in Arabia, yes? You're a slave. If you're married, you're a slave. If you're single, you're a slave. You're not from a famous family, you're a slave. And there is no chance of empowerment. What the religion of Islam sought to do with them was to try and empower them. Today, when much of the Western world says Islam is oppressive towards women, show them the amount of empowerment that Islam sought to bring women. Someone might turn around and say, well, look, in the 21st century, it still hasn't done enough. It will never be enough. The reality is, we'll never, as human beings, be able to be just to our fellow human beings, yes? Ultimately, the most just is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And under the guidance of a ma'soom. For us, we can only try and ensure that the rights are protected. In Arabia, there were certain areas where women were not given any rights whatsoever. Let me give you a couple of examples. A whole surah in the Quran was named after a woman who pleaded to God about the way she was treated. Surah 58 of the Quran is called Surah Al-Mujadala. Yes? Many people have not read Surah Al-Mujadala. And that's why I say to everyone on the nights of Qadr, when you put this Quran on your head, it's not a ritual, my dear brother and sister. Yes? Don't imagine it as a ritual. What you are saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, I'm going to begin reading this book from now till the next Laylatul Qadr. Because if you've neglected that book from this Laylatul Qadr to the next Laylatul Qadr, you've not understood why you put this Quran on your head. I see many saying, in the name of this Quran, and he doesn't read it probably for the next 11 months. The aim of doing that is to get closer to the Quran, yes? Surah Al-Mujadala, Surah 58 of the Quran, the woman who pleaded to Allah. Why would God name a surah of the Quran, the woman who pleads? In Arabia, if a woman was married, if the man comes home and he wants to be satisfied, when he comes home and he wants to be satisfied by his wife, if she says no to him, what would he do? Straight away, he'd turn around. He said, you know what? You are to me like the back of my mother. What does that mean? That means that in the same way I can't have relations with my mother, I'm not going to have relations with you. They used to call it dhihar. You are to me like the back of my mother. In Arabic, dhahar means the back. The pronouncement of dhihar was what? Arabian men would tell their woman, you are to me like the back of my mother, and he'd leave. You don't know if he's coming back in a week, if he's coming back in a month, if he's coming back in a year. And this poor lady would be sitting down thinking, okay, this guy's left the house, what do I do? When this lady complained to Rasulullah, she said, Ya Rasulullah, is this fair? Us women living with these men, they want to be satisfied when they come home. There's no feeling for us whatsoever. Then straight away what happens? That man tells me I am to him like the back of his mother. Rasulullah said, let's wait to see what the Lord of Heavens invites us and tells us. Straight away the Quran revealed an empowerment verse for women. Yes? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قد سمع الله قول التي تجادلك في زوجها وتشتكي إلى الله والله يسمع تحاوركما إن الله سميع بصير. What did the Quran say? Allah hears the cry of the pleading woman who complains to you about her husband. Yes? That verse, why was it revealed? It was telling the woman in Arabia, whenever you feel you're being oppressed, the society may not help you, but Allah watches every act that takes place. Yes? That woman from that day onwards, the formula of dhihar was seen as something backward. Straight away the Quran came and said that this dhihar formula is not the way you talk towards your woman. In other words, one group of women, their husbands could just do that to them. Another group of women, you know what their husbands would do? They'd wife swap. Yes? What do you mean by zawaj al-badal? I'm married to someone, you're married to someone. You know what? These are slaves for us. They're not human beings. They don't have feelings. They're our slaves. So what do they do to them? They say, listen, I want your wife for a period and you have my wife for a period. Yes? Rasulullah came and said, what do you think? This is someone with a soul or no? I said, when you just throw her onto someone else, don't you have feelings for what this lady is going through? That's on the second level. On the third level, there was no inheritance for them. In some cases, what would happen? In some cases, their dowries wouldn't go to them at all. Their dowries would go towards the father-in-law. As in now, if someone came to propose for you, the dowry is to be paid towards the woman, yes? Towards the bride. In those days, no, the father-in-law would take the dowry for himself. The Quran would reveal the verse, وَآتُوا النِّسَاءَ صَدُقَاتِهِنَّ نِحْلًا. Give the woman their due dowry. Number 3. Number 4, it was normal for them to batter their woman and bury their daughters alive. Yes? Many babies, many female babies were buried alive. And you know when they'd be buried alive, you know how the Quran would describe it? Surah 16 verse 58 describes exactly how they felt when a woman would be born. وَإِذَا بُشِّرَ أَحَدُهُمْ بِالْأُنْثَى ظَلَّ وَجْهُهُ مُسْوَدًّا وَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ. When one of them is told of the news that a female is born to him, his face would darken with anger and he would try and hold himself back, not knowing, is it better to bury her alive or to live with her in disgrace? Subhanallah, yes? As in, if you ever want to see Jahiliyyah, it's when a person has a baby and they want to bury that baby alive. Normally, when someone has a daughter or a son, it's a blessing. You're happy for them, the community is happy for them. These Arabs, they would find it normal for them to bury their daughters alive. Rasulullah came with these verses. He made it clear that first and foremost, the woman can reach the same spiritual levels as the men. How? By mentioning women that had come before him. A whole chapter of the Quran called Maryam. Another chapter known as Nisa. A chapter revealed about that woman who pleaded to God about her husband. And therefore you found Islam came with a mission. The mission was what? That don't build a society which becomes male chauvinists, where you feel that the male are higher than the woman in the society. Not at all. Build a society where you recognize that the only difference between the two of you is what? The only difference between the two of you is taqwa. The one who is muttaqi is the highest in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why when these women were empowered, you found them being the main soldiers of this religion. I tell you, when you look at early Islam, were it not for some woman participating in helping the Muslims in early Islam, I tell you this religion would not have grown. What are the examples? Let me give you a few. When the battle of Uhud took place, Ali ibn Abi Talib had 63 wounds on his body. Yes? How many? 63 wounds. 63 wounds on his body. Do you know which woman came to that battle and cured each wound? Fatima al-Zahra. Salawatullah wa salamu alayha. Yes? Fatima al-Zahra highlighted what was the first role of the woman in war. Many could have turned around and said, Fatima, you are daughter of the Prophet, stay at home, relax. You don't need to join. Not on the contrary. Fatima came to the battle of Uhud. She didn't care that she's the daughter of the Holy Prophet, yes? She wanted as much of a role on the day of Uhud as her husband. Her husband, and they had only recently got married, her husband had 63 wounds on his body, yes? 63 wounds, she treated every single one of those wounds. She highlighted first and foremost, that's in the army of the Imam, there will be some women who will come as nurses in that army, yes? Secondly, there may be some women who come as water carriers in that army, yes? The woman of Bani Ghafar, Abu Dhar al-Ghafari's tribe, they came to Rasulullah. They said, Ya Rasulullah, we want to help you in war. What's our role? He said to them, carry water to the soldiers who are thirsty, yes? There were many soldiers who would be thirsty in war. These women of Bani Ghafar would carry the water. They'd go around and they'd give water to each of these soldiers. That's number two. Number three, not just carrying water, not just nursing. You'd have women who were specialists in medicine, who would be doctors with the Prophet. There was a lady, they used to call her Shifa. She was a specialist in medicine. She said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm a specialist in medicine. I'm a doctor. Do I have a role in your army, in the spreading of Islam? He would say to her, of course. Anyone who gets injured, we don't care if you're a male doctor or you're a female doctor, we need you alongside us. In other words, doctors, nurses, water carriers. Not just that, even soldiers on the battlefield. Someone says, what do you mean, soldiers on the battlefield? Men are the only soldiers on the battlefield. There are some men who are good at running away from the battlefield, yes? Leave those men to the side. You never know, we may be one of them one day. So we could smile now. I'd love to see us, if we have the chance one day, whether we're on the front lines or whether we turn around. There are women, as in on the battle of Uhud, when Rasulullah was on the mountain alone. When Khalid ibn al-Walid came around the mountain to attack the Holy Prophet, you found that many of these companions ran away from the battlefield. As in the Quran said, وَمَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ أَفَإِنْ مَاتَ أَوْ قُتِلَ انقلبتم على أعقابكم. Muhammad is but a messenger, and messengers have come before him. If he dies, or rather he is killed, you turn on your heels. These men who were so arrogant, walking around saying that we're the only ones who will defend this message, no one comes near us in the defend of the message. You know what these men did? They ran away from the battlefield. Completely ran away. You're thinking, where have you run away to in this battlefield? They ran away because they felt the going had got tough. And you know what happened? This woman sees Rasulullah alone. Yes? Her name is Al-Harithiyah. She sees Rasulullah alone on the mountain. She runs to his defense and she calls out, how could you men run away and leave the Prophet of God alone? She goes there. They strike her. Even while being struck, you find her remaining strong. She remains alongside Rasulullah until her last moments. Therefore you find others. I remember a lady by the name of Salim came to the battle of Uhud pregnant. Subhanallah. As in hardly anyone recognizes how many women sacrificed. She came pregnant to the battle of Uhud. And she said, Ya Rasulullah, if there's any duty I could do, you want me to carry water, you want me to nurse, anything you want, but you're pregnant, doesn't matter. I want to serve the religion of Islam. Yes? Another lady by the name of Ubay, she came to the battle of Khaybar with other ladies. They said, we want to be there on the front line defending this religion. In other words, what do you find? You find whether it's Fatima al-Zahra, nursing, whether it is, for example, Al-Harithiyya fighting, whether it is Shifa as a doctor, whether it is the water carriers, whether it is Asma bint Umays, wife of Ja'far al-Tayyar, as a political ambassador, all of these women gave to the religion of Islam at the beginning. Like they gave at the beginning, they will give at the end as well. What do we mean? Someone asks, how can I as a woman be amongst the soldiers of the 12th Imam? We have a hadith which tells us that there are certain women, if you follow their traits and you understand their importance, then you'll find the secret to be alongside the 12th Imam. Which woman? Siyana, Sumayya, Ayman, Zubaydah, Khalid, Ghanwa. You'll find some people saying, listen, said Ammar, I think 6 of those women I'm not sure I've ever heard of in my life. Yes? Who are they? Siyana, Sumayya, Ayman, Zubaydah, Ghanwa, Khalid. Hardly anyone discusses these ladies. But these are the types of ladies who you take as an example if you want to be with the 12th Imam. What do I mean? The first of them, they mention the hadith of the type of lady who would be with the 12th Imam. Number 1, the bravery of Siyana. Who's Siyana? Siyana was the lady who used to comb the hair of Pharaoh's daughter. Yes? Siyana used to comb the hair of Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh had adopted certain children in his house, and one of them was his daughter. This lady was the wife of Hizqal, the treasurer and the cousin of Pharaoh. Yes? In the Quran, many of you have read the ayah about Mu'min al-Pharaoh, who hid his faith when he was with Pharaoh. Yes? Mu'min al-Pharaoh, he was the cousin of Pharaoh, but he was a lover of Nabi Musa alayhi salam. He didn't openly say he believed in Nabi Musa, but secretly he would go to Nabi Musa and he'd tell Nabi Musa about everything that was happening. Yes? The Quran in Surah 40 verse 28 praises him, saying that this person, جاء رجل مؤمن من آل فرعون يكتم إيمانه, that there was a man who was a believer from the family of Pharaoh who used to conceal his faith. He was Pharaoh's cousin, Pharaoh's treasurer, and his wife Siyana was Pharaoh's daughter's hairdresser and the one who would comb her hair. What happened? Taqiyya is not something hard, it's not something easy. Yes? Concealing your faith is not easy. When you're a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can't conceal your faith. It's very difficult. You found that while her husband was concealing his faith, this lady one day, she is combing the hair, and when she combs the hair, while she's combing the hair, the comb falls. One narration mentions that she said Bismillah, and another said that she says Allahu Akbar. Yes? As soon as she said that, Pharaoh's daughter turned around to her. She said, what did you just say? She said, you heard me. She said to her, who do you say is your Lord? She says, the Lord that never sleeps. At that moment, Pharaoh's daughter turned around to her and said to her, are you trying to speak out against my father? My father is the only Lord. She said to her, yes, I'm speaking out. I believe in the Lord that is La ilaha illallah. Yes? When she spoke out like that, the news reached whom? The news reached Pharaoh. That lady, his daughter, comes up to me. She says, Dad? Said, yes. Said, you know Siyana? Said, yes. Said, Dad, she just uttered a phrase. She doesn't believe that you are God. Said, what do you mean? She's the wife of my cousin. Said, doesn't matter. If you bring her now, she'll speak out openly. The bravery of that lady, when she saw oppression in her time, she couldn't bear to remain silent. Yes? That lady's bravery, Pharaoh bought her. He said to Siyana, said, yes. Said, what's your position? Said, I'm the hairdresser of your daughter. Said, okay. Do you believe I am God? She said, no. Said, who do you believe in? She said, I believe in the Lord of Musa. Said, you know what I'll do to you? She said, what? Said, I'm going to burn you and your child. She said to him, burn me as you like. I know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward me in the hereafter. Yes? The bravery of that lady, that she was willing to face death in this way by speaking out against Pharaoh, made the Imams of Ahlul Bayt remember her later on. You know, when they brought her to burn her, naturally for a mother, when she's got her child in her hand, naturally for the mother, there's that feeling that arises that, you know what, maybe I should pull out. My child is going to get killed. You know what one narration mentions? As soon as she was thinking of pulling out, Allah inspired her child to say to her, mother, do not worry, Allah will reward us for this martyrdom. Yes? You found that that lady Siyana, what was her quality? That the Imams of Ahlul Bayt later said, that type of lady will be with the Mahdi. Her quality was her bravery. Yes? Not thinking, shall I please this person or shall I please that person? Where I see haqq, I will speak out against the batil. Wherever it is. Without thinking who is my friend and who's not my friend. Haqq is haqq and batil is batil. Therefore, the first role model the Imams gave. As for the woman of the soldiers of the Mahdi, the first one, Siyana, her bravery. The second one was who? The patience of Sumayya. Sumayya, mother of Ammar bin Yasir. Yes? Sumayya, when she joined the religion of Islam, her and Yasir were confederates of Bani Makhzum. Bani Makhzum, who headed them? Abu Jahl and Umar ibn al-Khattab, Khalid ibn al-Walid. All of these are from Bani Makhzum. In Arabia at that time, if you became a Muslim and your tribe wasn't a Muslim, the tribe was responsible for killing you. Yes? In those days, any tribe who a member of them becomes a Muslim, they have to kill that member. They took Yasir, they took Sumayya, they took Ammar. When they took Ammar, Ammar was on one side, Yasir and Sumayya were on the other. They tortured and tortured Sumayya in front of Ammar. Yes? They tortured them so severely. Abu Jahl, Umar ibn al-Khattab, Khalid ibn al-Walid, all of these Bani Makhzumis, yes, tortured Sumayya the worst of torture. Ammar received torture as well. But Ammar gave in to the torture. Yes? They kept on asking him, who's your God? When he said Allah, they keep whipping him. Who's your God? When he says Allah, they keep slapping him. Who's your God? When he says Allah, they kept kicking him. Until eventually Ammar said, I don't believe in the God of Muhammad. When he said that, they said, very well, now you are released. Why did he say that? He said it because the torture got so severe, he decided to employ taqiyya. His heart, of course, believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he just said that because it was a matter of life and death. Where did he go? He went to Rasulullah, said, Ya Rasulullah, it pains me that I said I don't believe in Allah, but it's only because of what torture I went through. And at that moment you found what? The Quran revealed the verse in Surah 16 verse 106, إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَ وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ. Except those who are compelled, but their hearts believe. His mother Sumayya would not give in. Abu Jahl's whipping her and whipping her. Then do you know what Abu Jahl did? He got her hands to be pulled by two horses. Yes? And he kept whipping and whipping. Who is your Lord? Who is your Lord? There is only one God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. She would keep saying it. La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasul. La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. She exhibited a patience that the Imam said, this is the lady with the hujjah. Yes? Her patience on that day, until you know what Abu Jahl did? Bought the spear, and they put the spear directly through her stomach. Yes? That sabr of Sumayya would bring tears to the heart of Rasulullah and the eyes of Rasulullah. Yes? But in the eyes of Imams of Ahlul Bayt, number one, the bravery of Siyana. Number two, the sabr of Sumayya. Number three, the justice of Ayman. Look at these qualities, my dear sisters and my brothers. But my sisters especially who want to be in the army of the Imam, these are the ladies mentioned. Their qualities will be with the Hujjah, yes? Siyana, her bravery of speaking out. Sumayya, her patience of maintaining her religion. These days in the West and the East, it's not easy to be religious, yes? 19th, 21st night, 23rd night, every Tom, Dick and Harry comes to the mosque. Don't worry about that, yes? The test is not 19, 21, 23. The test is whether you could do it for 362 days a year, yes? You find that to maintain that sabr with your deen, sabr with your hijab, sabr with your etiquettes, sabr in your family relations. Number two, the sabr of Sumayya. Number three, the justice of Ayman. Ayman, Rasulullah used to love her. Yes? He used to say, she is like my mother. Her and Fatima bint Asad are like my mother. That lady, of course, had the famous son Ayman from Ubayd al-Khazraji. That lady was close to Al-Muhammad, yes? But her one stand of justice will never be forgotten. When she spoke out for Fatima al-Zahra against Abu Bakr when he took Fadak. Yes? The third quality is justice. When you see haqq, you are just with that haqq. Because they came to Fatima al-Zahra, they said to her, if Fadak is your land, give us witnesses. In law, any legal student here will know, possession indicates ownership. Do you agree? Possession indicates ownership. Fatima's not meant to be the one who gets witnesses. It's meant to be Abu Bakr. Because Fadak is her land. So if anyone's meant to get witnesses, it's meant to be him. He said to her, we want witnesses. Umar said, who are your witnesses? The reply was what? My husband will be, Ali will be a witness. Umar said, we don't take him, he's your husband. Hassan and Hussein, they're too young, they won't know. Ayman, they asked her, Fadak, who does it belong to? Do you know how difficult it was to remain religious in those days? To remain on the path of Ahlul Bayt? Do you know how many left the path of Ahlul Bayt in those crucial moments? Or they didn't even show up? Or they were confused? That Ayman, you found unbelievably. She stood in front of Umar. She said, Fadak belongs to Fatima. No doubt. It was given to her in the time of Rasulullah. It's not inheritance. Inheritance is what is given after. Fadak was given after the battle of Khaybar in the time of Rasulullah. Yes? At that moment when Umar realized that she was speaking justice, you know what he said? We don't take witnessing from non-Arabs. Yes. Justice of Ayman. Yes? That there are times where your friend may be unjust to someone you don't know. Don't remain silent. Say, listen, don't be unjust. Maintain your justice at all times. Siyana's bravery and Sumayya's patience. Ayman's justice, remaining with Fatima when everyone left Fatima. Yes? Number 4, the generosity of Zubaydah. Yes? Who was Zubaydah? Wife of Harun al-Rashid. For every Asiya, there's a Fir'aun. For every Zubaydah, there's a Harun al-Rashid. That Zubaydah, queen, princess, prestigious family, leaves the path of Harun al-Rashid to go on the path of Imam Musa al-Kadhim. Yes? Her generosity, nobody would come near. Whenever there was a cause to spread the Quran, to spread Islam, and to look after humanity as a whole, none came near Zubaydah. You know this Zubaydah, even her servants at home would memorize the Quran. That's how much she stressed on the Quran. And this is a lady whose husband poisoned Imam Musa al-Kadhim. Yes? This lady Zubaydah, her servants at home memorized the Quran. She would pay for everything for them as long as they would memorize the Quran. This same Zubaydah, those of you who've been to Hajj from the 60s and 70s will know that on your way to Mecca, 10 miles from Mecca, if you look up on the mountains, there are what looks like tunnels on your way. Those are called, and they're still on signs, the wells of Zubaydah. Yes? The wells of Zubaydah were wells which she built with her own money. Why? She said because when people go to Hajj, they're bound to get thirsty. And not everyone will find water. So I'll give all my wealth so that there is water for every Hajji on their way to Hajj. Up until a few years ago, they were stopped, these wells. Otherwise, all the way from that time, she would have sadaqah jariyah. Everyone who drank water, the thawab would go back to her. And you know how many things she gave away from her life in her generosity? She used to have a Quran that was made of rubies and emeralds. Imagine. A Quran, the front cover was rubies and emeralds. One time someone asked her for it, she said, hey, there you go. They said to her, but it's made of rubies and emeralds, this is priceless. She's like, Allah says in the Quran, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You will never achieve righteousness until you give away that which you love the most. If Fatima, daughter of Muhammad, could give away the dress she loved, then Zubaydah can give away the Quran she loves. Yes? Ya Ali. Therefore, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Therefore we have Siyana's bravery, Sumayya's patience, Ayman's justice, Zubayda's generosity. Then what? The eloquence of whom? The eloquence of Khalid. You find Imam al-Sadiq saying, if you want to find eloquence in a woman, go to Khalid. Who's Khalid? Khalid supported Zayd, the son of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, when he spoke out against Bani Umayyah. She stood up and supported him. When he got killed, Yusuf al-Thaqafi, father of Hajjaj, caught her. He said to her, you were with Zayd? He said, yes. He said, why? He said, speaking out for the rights of Al-Muhammad. Yes? He said, but you know, your eloquence, you could use it in other things. You can use it in music. You can use it in poetry. She said, no, I use it to give majalis for Al-Muhammad. Yes? The eloquence. It's not easy when a person's eloquent for them to dedicate that eloquence to majalis, for them to dedicate that eloquence to being a Nawha Khan, to eloquence towards reciting marthiyah and qasida. It takes a sacrifice. But you want to be in the army of the 12th Imam, then maybe if Allah has given you a voice and eloquence, why don't you give it towards Al-Muhammad? Yes? That lady, when she said that, do you know what they did? They chopped her hand off. Why? Because they thought, you know what, this is going to get her into depression. She'll never give majalis again. Imam al-Sadiq one day sitting with his companion. He says, do you see that lady over there? He said, yes. He said, you won't find a more eloquent lady than Khalid. Yes? Even after they've chopped her hand off, she continued giving majalis on behalf of Al-Muhammad. Yes? She would have stopped. Any of us would have stopped and said, you know what, that's the end of my life. No, I don't care. With one arm, she would stand up and continue her eloquence for Ahlul Bayt, alayhim as-salam. Yes? Therefore, what do you have now? You have Siyana's what? Bravery. And Ayman's justice. Sumayya's patience. Zubayda's generosity. Khalid's eloquence. Then you have the dedication of Ghanwa, daughter of Rushayd al-Hajari. Subhanallah, notice the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, they don't pick the normal woman's names that we hear in Majalis, true? When they talk about the woman of the 12th Imam, you would expect them to say Fatima Zahra, Sayyidah Zainab, Bibi Maryam, Bibi... No, there are certain women just like me and you. If you say Fatima, people say, but Fatima is Ma'soom. I'm giving you the names of women who were ordinary women but became the most beautiful servants of Al-Muhammad. Yes? The last of them is who? Ghanwa, daughter of Rushayd al-Hajari. Rushayd al-Hajari, one of the greatest companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Yes? I classify him in the top 10 companions of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Yes? Salman, Abu Dhar, Miqdad, Ammar, Malik, Muhammad bin Abu Bakr, Kumail, Mayth bin Tammar, Ammar bin Hamak al-Khuza'i, Rushayd al-Hajari. Rushayd al-Hajari spoke out against Ziyad, father of Ubaidullah, yes, in Karbala. Rushayd spoke out, Hujr spoke out, Ammar bin Hamak spoke out. Ali ibn Abi Talib one day asked Rushayd, he said, Rushayd, can I ask you a question? He said, yes. He said, what would you do if someone was going to torture you in praising me? He said, does Jannah await me while I'm being tortured? He said, yes. He said, let them do whatever they want because Jannah is serving Ali ibn Abi Talib. Yes? He said, but you know what they're going to do to you? He said, what? He said, they're going to mutilate your hands. He said, so be it. They're going to mutilate your legs. He said, so be it. He said, they're going to cut your tongue because you praise me. He said, so be it. I look forward to the day when Ziyad, father of Ubaidullah, caught him, when he spoke out against him. He said to him, where's your master Ali now to come and help you? You know what Rushayd replied? My master told me that you would one day be the one who mutilates my hands and my feet and my tongue. So can you please get on with it? Because I look forward to meeting my master. Allahu Akbar. Wallah, there are moments where if you think loving Ali ibn Abi Talib is just simply coming mosque and that's all, no. There's going to be a major test in your love for Ali ibn Abi Talib to the extent where he says, in every generation, you'll find that there'll come a time where it's hard to say that you love me. Yes? No doubt. He said to him, get on with it. You know what Ziyad said? He said, you know what? Then I'm going to prove your master wrong. What did he say? Your hands, your feet, and your tongue? I won't do any of them. He said, very well, then I'll continue praising my master. He prays, he came and he mutilated the hands. He prays again, he mutilated the feet, he cut them off. But Rushayd kept saying, remember my tongue. That's the one Ali told me you're going to do. This person turned around and he said, no, I'm not going to do it then. I'll prove your master wrong. Rushayd, while crucified, kept praising Ali ibn Abi Talib during the day. Ziyad came, cut his tongue off there and then. Yes? His daughter Ghanwa, young girl, came. She carried her dad's body on her back. Yes? Dedication. Her dad, who had been mutilated, she could have left him alone. No. Dedication towards the cause of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. They said to her, Ghanwa, aren't you saddened? She said, how can I be saddened when my dad served Ali ibn Abi Talib? How? And then on top of that, they said to her, Ghanwa, did your dad ever feel any pain with this? Said, no. Said, all he said to me is, while he was being tortured, Ghanwa, the crowd, there's too many of them on me. That's the only pain I feel. Otherwise, the love of Ali ibn Abi Talib has carried me through this pain. That Ghanwa carried her dad's body by herself. Because in those days, loving Ali ibn Abi Talib was a rare thing, yes? In those days, people were scared to say they loved Ali ibn Abi Talib. She took her dad's body in front of all the men. Instead of being scared, she said, this is my dad and I'm proud of him for what he gave Amir al-Mu'mineen. Yes? That dedication to Al-Muhammad through thick and through thin. Subhanallah, therefore what you find? You find the Imams say, if you want to know the woman of the Mahdi, let them take these as their examples. Let them take Siyana's bravery, and Ayman's justice, and Sumayya's patience, and Zubayda's generosity, and Khalid's eloquence, and Ghanwa's dedication. Bring all those traits in you. There's no way you can't be with the 12th Imam. Yes? Those traits, according to the Imams, are the traits that make a woman a soldier of the Imam. No doubt whatsoever. And that's why the Imams of Ahlul Bayt make it very clear that you'll find women play as fundamental a role at the end as they did at the beginning. In the same way, Khadija and Maryam and Asiya and Fatima helped build this religion at the beginning. Likewise, there'll be women with the 12th Imam. There'll be judges, yes, in the court of the 12th Imam. They'll be judging on women's issues, on different social issues, different legal issues from their houses, according to the Quran and according to Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. And that's why you find on a night like this, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the women of Al-Muhammad are all sitting around him on a night like this, yes? The night of the 21st of Ramadan. There wasn't only Sayyidah Zainab in the house on that night. There were other women, for example, Kulthum was in the house that night. The wives of the Imams were in the house on a night like this. And Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib made sure that before he died, he gave a will towards these women and these men who were sitting down, yes? Many times people don't recognize the importance of the will of Ali ibn Abi Talib. But that will he gave towards those women who were around him. What did he say to them? He said, O children of Abdul Muttalib, be conscious of Allah and steadfast in your religion. Do not yearn for this world and don't be seduced by it. Do not resent anything that you have missed in it. Always oppose the oppressor and support the oppressed. And always work for the next world. Then he said, O children of Abdul Muttalib, and all the women are around him, yes? He said, O children of Abdul Muttalib, be conscious of Allah, strengthen your ties, and remove your differences. For reconciliation of differences is greater than fasting and prayer. Yes? What a wonderful line. Then he says, O children of Abdul Muttalib, fear Allah in relation to your prayers, for they are the pillars of your religion. Fear Allah in relation to the orphans. Do not put your interests ahead of theirs. Fear Allah in relation to His house, the Kaaba, for if you abandon it, you abandon your own dignity. Do jihad with your wealth and with your souls and with your children. And then he turned around, fear Allah in relation to fasting. Fear Allah in relation to charity. And then he said, strike Ibn Muljam with only one strike. If his strike kills me, then do not mutilate his body. For Rasulullah did not like to see a rabid dog with a body that is mutilated. Allah. Justice until the end. Ali ibn Abi Talib. Until his final moment. Others would have said mutilate the body. Others would have said strike him a number of strikes. No. He said feed him what you eat. Clothe him what you wear. Don't let him be in fear. And if I die now, then strike him with that one strike. The woman began to cry. It dawned upon them that these are the last moments with Ali ibn Abi Talib. Yes? On the one side Zainab, on the other side Kulthum, on the other side the other daughters of Al Muhammad, the servants of the Risala. Al-Fatwatim, each one of them was around him on a night like this. He looked each one of them in the eyes. When Zainab broke down, it broke him as well, yes? He said to her, Zainab, my dear, remain calm. Kulthum, remain calm. He asked each and every one of them to calm down at that moment. When he asked each one of them to calm down at that moment, what do the narrations mention? He asked then Imam al-Hasan to come and sit near him. When he asked Imam al-Hasan to sit near him, the narrations mention that when he asked Imam al-Hasan to sit near him, at that moment, what did he want? At that moment he wanted all of them to come and pledge allegiance to Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. Yes? So he called out, where is Abu Abdullah? Abu Abdullah was crying profusely. He knew this is the last moments of his father's life. So he called out at that moment. What did he say? At that moment he said, Abu Abdullah, come near me. When he said, Abu Abdullah, come near me, Imam al-Hussein came. He said to him, Abu Abdullah, pledge allegiance to your brother Hassan. And the Imam pledged the allegiance. Then he said, Zainab, Zainab, come here next to me. When Zainab came, he said, Zainab, pledge your allegiance to Hassan. At that moment he said, where is Kulthum? Kulthum came near him. Yes, he'd cry especially when he sees Kulthum, because she was 1 year old when Fatima died. Yes, Kulthum, where are you? Come near me. Kulthum, pledge your allegiance to Imam Hassan. Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya, where are you? Yes, come here, pledge your allegiance to Imam al-Hassan. One by one they came to pledge their allegiance to Imam al-Hassan. But there was one lady who wondered, why has he called my Abbas to come near him? Allahu Akbar. al-Banin came towards the Imam. She said by Ali ibn Abi Talib, she said to him, Ya Ammar al-Mu'mineen, you asked all of your children to pledge it to Hassan, but my Abbas, you haven't called him towards you. Allah, Allah. This is for every lover of Abu al-Fadl. Yes, this I'm giving to you and to Abu al-Fadl. Take your hearts to Karbala. Yes, she said to him, I saw them all pledge it to Hassan. How about my Abbas? When he heard the tears began to flow from the eyes, it's as if he could see Abu al-Fadl falling from his horse on the 10th of Muharram. He said to al-Banin, call me Abbas, I beg you. When Abbas came, he took the hands of Abu al-Fadl. Yes, he took the hands and he said, all of them have to look after Hassan. He has to look after the stranger of Karbala. I wanted him to look after Abu Abdullah until the final moments of his life. What do I say to you, Ya Ammar al-Mu'mineen? Had you seen the way Abbas lay on the ground when Abu Abdullah took his head on the plains of Karbala? When he took his head, he placed it, yes? Abu al-Fadl removed it. Hussein bought it. Abu al-Fadl removed. Abu Abdullah said, Abbas, why? He said, Abu Abdullah, you take my head now. How about you'll take your head in a few moments, yes? And then he said, Abu Abdullah, I have two requests from you. What are they? The first of them is let me call you Sayyidi. Let me call you Akhi Abu Abdullah. Yes, it's as if Imam al-Hussein wanted this from him. But the second Abbas said, what? He said, Abu Abdullah, don't take me back to the tent. Sukaina was thirsty and I promised her water. When the Imam returned back to the tent, he heard Sukaina saying, I wish I hadn't asked for any water. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Allah, مأتم الحسين, Ya